artists do is so it runs everything else.
Yes.
And people don't realize don't realize that, and so they devalue themselves and then wonder why everybody else on the outside does that as well. And that's what the real problem is.
That's a good point.
What I do, anybody can learn how to code. You can't learn creativity.
Oh.
Anybody can learn how to code. What I do, I learned it on my own. You can read a book and learn that. You can't learn, what God gave you, the gifts God gave you.
See, art is fresh air. And
she had us do that breathing technique in there. I don't know if you guys remember.
No, that's it.
What she told us in how.
Yeah, it is, and that's what Newark needs. Newark needs fresh air, and that's where the art comes in.
Why are you laughing?
For the
Because
kids.
I call her the evangelist. She's like an evangelist.
Dope.
She'd be like,
she's like Nina Simone, like reincarnated. I think.
Stay on that air. Stay on that air.
Okay. So that's what art means for the city of Newark. That I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking over here.
No, you can look right in here. You can look right there.
Okay. So Newark, the city of Newark needs fresh air. We need to breathe. We need wide open space, and art creates that for us. It's a lot going on. We can't always breathe. I can't breathe. Hands up. It's a lot going on. But when you get to create and you get to express yourself, you get to see somebody else expressing themselves, playing their violin. Shout out to J.B. Doing whatever it is that is their art. It opens you up. It allows you to connect. It allows you to feel. And feeling creates that space also. So that's...
Air is pure.
Yeah.
Our air that we breathe now is polluted. And it's the artist that purifies the air. Is that all right?
I love that. Purifying. Hashtag purified.
Yeah. Well, I started off in the North Anti-Violence Coalition. Shout out to my team, put together by Raz Baraka when he was councilman. And what we did, we went from corner to corner around the city where, people were murdered, and we had rallies and just protests, and we talked to the people about stopping the violence. So I've always been a part of movements and activism work around the community. So, I performed on numerous street corners. Like a lot of people will remember me from it. You've seen me on Borden Market and all over from 11th Street, Avon. We did rallies, Hawthorne Ave, all over the city. And I used that as a platform to promote my activism through my poetry.
Yeah.
Feel and see what's going on in Newark.
Yes.
And how I see how the art culture really is affecting Newark. It's affecting Newark a whole lot. Cause it's more people coming from all over now to come to Newark just to hear poets.
Well, Newark is going through a transformation. As we sit here downtown, the gentrification and the
Military Park.
Military Park, correct. And you can see the tall buildings that's popping up, and the different races that are now coming back to Newark. I was actually reading Amiri Baraka's autobiography. He mentioned the Italians fleeing Newark in the 50s and 60s. And now it's starting to expand. So to answer your question, what does art mean in Newark? It means life. It means understanding how we support and connect with one another. But it means that we have to reach all parts of Newark. We can't reach, the good side. We got to reach the belly of the beast of Newark. And if we can get them to see Newark as art, as a piece of work, as a historical monument, a landmark, as something that's very important, then Newark can represent art in a beautiful, artistic, beautiful way.
I write from what I see. So I'm not one of those types of poets that can just write I can write anything, but I just can't write like that. I write what I see. And in Newark is ever changing, but yet there's still problems in Newark that we need to fix. So I write about that. I write about, people shooting each other because it's here. It's life. It's what we're going through. I write about how the police treat our black brothers and sisters, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, because it's here. as I said, Newark is ever changing, and that's what I use my art for.
Oof. That one's hard. I mean, this is a very complex city. Um, I guess I can only answer it from my perspective.
Yeah,
I don't have
definitely.
the answers for Newark or anything like that. I don't think I'm qualified to really speak on that. But for me, I mean, all I can really hope is that my art reaches individuals and can make somebody feel a little less alone, or like some kind of communion. Like, man, I felt that way too.
It's bigger than North. It's just people in general. I am the outspoken for the unspoken.
Wow.
Seriously, I'm the outspoken for the unspoken. That's it. I just try to say what the fuck. I say what the fuck is on my mind. I say whatever I want to say. And a lot of times, so many times, I've been told like, "Yo, I wanted to say that shit, but what I mean, I'm just more reserved. I'm not that type of person." And it's a dirty job, but somebody got to do that shit, Joe. Because like I said, everybody be feeling the same shit, and just don't nobody be wanting to say nothing. So that's how my shit affects the city. Like I said, I'm the outspoken for the unspoken. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm just keeping shit 100. Like, keeping shit 100. That's it. That's how my shit affects the city.
So it's just like, I think it affects Newark because I'm not becoming, like I'm not becoming a stereotype of Newark. I'm actually coming from it, yes.
And as far as the city's concerned, I mean, everybody can see what's going on. I mean, it's beautiful to a degree. You got to look at both sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, you also have to ask yourself, is this stuff really implemented to people that look like us?
So as us being an artist, the way we affect Jersey, as from me being an artist from Jersey or Newark, our goal, our job is to flip the negative and turn it to the positive.
As an artist, there's no methodology to how we learn our intuitive gifts. It happens. All we have to do is just be open. So that could be your story. There is no traditional way. But the big thing is that if you feel or you sense that there's something that you can do, and if you have mentors or you have people that are directing you, or maybe not directing you, follow that gifting. How do you think that your books will affect people's lives, whether that be people in Newark or people where you live or in New Jersey? How do you think that it will affect their lives?
I think it will affect everybody's lives because it's something different on the market. It's not necessarily a how-to book, how to do something book, but rather a book of inspiration. So, for example, Successful Leaders of New Jersey is dedicated for those people who didn't have direct mentors, for those people who didn't have a mother and father necessarily to help groom them to be a man or a woman, because they get a chance to read about other people who are just like them. And these people work in corporate. These people are very successful, but they had to start from somewhere, and they get a chance to resonate. And the other book, Entrepreneurship is the Greatest Job in the World, really, really helps people who are thinking about becoming a business owner, or young people who are interested in business, and really, really helps persuade them to be a business owner.
Especially in Newark, listen, Newark is where it's at as far as arts. It's on the cutting edge as far as everything I see. This is not to be duplicated. You know,
I'm not going to say what you said about another city. But
anyway,
yeah, go ahead. I hear you. I like that. I like what you're saying. Talking good.
Yeah. It's not to be duplicated. You know, art is about the people. You know what I mean? And it's about everybody. It's not about a clique or he or you cool with this person. It's you know what I mean? It's about the people.
That's what we keep saying.
And you know, you call yourself an artist about the people, but you're only, you know, keeping to one standard. Who you're supporting. You know what I mean? Let people express themselves. Everyone's art might not be for you, but it might be for another person. There's enough room. There's enough room for everybody.
There's enough room.
Art is history, and it's theory, and it's practice, and it's all these different things, because we don't understand like the impact that culture has, because its reach is so much farther than everything else. So much farther than everything else. You couldn't, like, James Brown singing like "I'm Black and I'm Proud" is a much farther reach than going to a political meeting or reading a book that you don't feel like you can understand or access. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Right? And so but that song made you feel something, and it says, something about the way that I think about myself and the world has to change.
Art to me is a religion.
Oh.
Okay? Art is a religion, right? And whatever you do inside of art, that's the book that helps your religion be successful. Like,
that's the sacred
if
book,
you are like, prime example, if you are a person that paint,
I ain't messing with
your canvas is your Bible. Your canvas is your Quran. Okay? If you are a person that do photography, your camera is your Bible. Your camera is your Quran. If you are a person that do graffitiing, your spray paint is your Bible. Your spray paint is your Quran. So to me, art is a religion, and it's a language that you need to help everybody understand. Everybody's not going to understand it though.
You know what you're saying? You're saying the artist is responsible for his own sacred book.
Exactly. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep right there. That's deep. That's real right there.
Art is not about, it's not representational all the time. It's not categorized. It's not, realistic all the time. You got to sometimes set yourself up outside of the box to think outside of the box.
Right.
So our work, anyone can paint realistically, but does that really, does it really fire the transmitters? Does it really get you thinking?
I explain art like this. Whenever I make a song, whenever I sing a tune, I'm looking for an emotion that I'm trying to materialize. I'm trying to bring something that's figurative, and I'm trying to bring it to a base in which people can understand. So 9 times out of 10, when I'm looking for a certain energy.
Yes. It's more to it than just art. And I truly believe that we can change the world.
Well, it took a very long time for me to even think of what I do as an art. I've been writing since maybe 5 or 6, like most other spoken word artists or poets or rappers or whatever. And for me, it was an outlet. It was a place where I can control what was happening, right? As humans, we have this idea that we can control everything that's happening around us, and when we realize we can't, that vulnerability makes us very, very afraid, right? So for myself, I would go to the pen and the paper because I knew that whatever happened between me and this sheet of paper and this pen, I was totally in control of. And just exercising thoughts, exercising ideas, trying to make mental snapshots of what happens in the day, place it on paper, take a look at it, review it, and try to make sense of it. And at some point in time, I came to this realization, or this conclusion, this realization that people were interested in hearing what I had to say, and I was quite surprised by it. And when people became interested, I took it upon myself to maybe try a little bit more, see if I could pull more out of myself, demand out of myself. And what began to happen is my writing became a haven. It became a haven for me. And I think any other artist will tell you that their relationship with their art is very, very personal. It's very, very personal. So it's very personal for me. And it's always a really interesting experience when you share something so personal with the public, and the public responds in a way where they want to get to know you personally. So I think artistry, or just art for any artist, it's their place where they can be in control of what's happening, and also not be in control and be okay with it. So I've always looked at my art as just an extension of who I was, not so much as an artist, because even that term is loaded, and it's a heavy term, and it comes with expectations, it comes with ideas of who you are, it comes with maybe curiosities and expectations that you live or you carry yourself a certain way, or that you're a social person in some sense. But it's very, and we were talking about it before, it's a very complex and interesting psychology that artists walk around with, and it's one that...
Making art means that you do whatever you have to do to make the art. You use whatever medium you have to use to make the art, because you have to make the art, because artists can't survive without making art. Art is our breath. Some people feel about cars, some people feel about being an accountant, some people feel about whatever they do. You eat, sleep, and breathe art, so you can't stop making art.
I think, first of all, art is
is community. It's communication. It's a way to express ideas, emotions, make connections between things that you might not normally make connections between in a creative manner. Put people in touch with their emotions, make people think about things, and it's also just be beauty. I mean, aesthetics, beauty, that's important too. We have to have that in our lives. So art is life, and it's a way to communicate life to other people.
I just feel that, art is just important for everybody, no matter what level of an artist. So you could be like you were talking about before, you're interviewing artists on many levels. So you have MFA artists who've like studied at prestigious institutions.
Yes.
Then you have people that might not have made art for 15 years, and they forgot that creative energy, and we got to tap
Good
into
point.
all of that. And
Yes,
I
excellent
feel like
point.
that's it's very important for people to tap into their creative energy, to make things that, with their hands, to make things from their heart, to make things from things that they're thinking about. And often we don't, especially in the world that we live in, we're so consumed with fitting into the mold, making the money, going to the 9 to 5, that we're not giving ourselves that space, and there isn't that space often, even in our communities or where we live.
Seriously, a writer is someone who has a serious passion for it, because we all write. We can keep a diary, keep a journal, write down thoughts and ideas every single day, but what differentiates a writer from someone who just writes or jots down their thoughts is a writer has a passion for it and a purpose for it. So if we write consistently every day and try to get a message across to a certain audience, be it family, friends, anyone, the whole world, as long as we have a passion and a purpose for what we put on paper, that defines a writer, at least in my book.
Yeah, I like that. Passion and purpose. I was talking to an artist the other day, Daniel, and he was talking about how his art just became loud. So I asked him, I said, well, what do you mean by loud? He was saying, I'm just saying stuff to be saying stuff, but what I'm doing is not coming from the heart.
Art to me is freedom. Art to me is peace. Art to me is therapy. It's a release. It's a exchange of cultures, exchange of energy. Art to me is a change. I see it as energy that pass on from generation to generation, everyone that you meet. That is what art is to me. So I've always believed, art saved my life. I didn't really have a childhood, and art was like my release, my way of talking, because I didn't really speak a lot. And so art was my therapy in expressing my emotions. And I realized as an adult, I use that platform to help the younger generation to express themselves when they feel like no one can hear them. So that's what art is to me.
We can open up the gates, man. We have the key. We know how to use the keys and just open up the door, but like,
Namaste.
And just let it in.
I believe that.
But
that's powerful.
It's a skill.
It's powerful.
It's a skill. It's a technique. It's a science. It's everything. Because art just explains life.
Right.
And I didn't understand it at first, but when I started to look at the elements, just the way they break them down, just look at the elements for visual arts, the elements for performing arts, the elements for filmmaking, for photography. Photography, they capture in time. It's another dimension, and you start talking about different things, and it's just life. It's just life in itself. And you can break it down to so many different levels, depending on which art you're in, depending on how you're feeling about it. And so it's like, it's capturing different dimensions of life, different spectrums, and it just gets deep. But it's all simple, because it's art.
When I explain my artistry, it's about creating a world where it feels like I don't belong anywhere else. Keep to myself a lot. I'm a nomad, I guess, like a loner, really. Just me, the laptop, my book bag, all that. And I try to keep to myself a lot, unless I'm on stage or unless I'm building with other people. And I know there are others who have, similar experiences like mine. So it's about me expressing that so that I can see it, create the art that I need to see, as well as create the art that others may need to see and others may need to experience, especially as a Black American man in what's going on right now.
Yes.
So that's the power in art. It has the ability to reach so many people in ways that we may not be able to communicate in a normal way.
Right. And we want to get the kids as young as possible.
Yes, we want to start them young because in a typical art classroom, they don't really talk about social activism. They don't really address issues that are affecting the children. They're more concerned with how do you make something, you know, the art for the sake of making art. But ATA, we go a little bit further than that. So we'll get into issues that are plaguing kids. Maybe bullying is an issue, gun violence, police brutality, homelessness. There's a lot of things that are affecting our children now, and they can address it through art. They can talk about it through art. They can make a change.
Before I was trying to define what my art is, and it's like, it's expressionism, it's this, it's that. And I was putting myself in a box. And then as I started to create, I noticed the borders were disappearing. And then I was like, wait a minute. If I look all around me, there are no borders. So why would I do that to my art?
How I see art. I feel like everything is art. I feel like when you wake up, get dressed, go out into the world, how you move, how you interact with people, how you connect with other life forces, I feel like that's just art in itself. So I feel like everything is art. You may not paint, you may not write. I write. But even if you don't do some of those things, I feel like you're still an artist. When you get up, you put yourself together, and you go out and you just bask in the universe.
I said that art is our savior.
Art is an aesthetic that beautifies, but beauty isn't always easy. Beauty isn't always easy to come to fruition of what is beautiful.
Getting on the stage?
Yes.
The first time?
Yes.
The very first time? Ugh, ooh. Okay, first off, let me tell you, my right leg wouldn't stop shaking. So I was on the stage, and I'm holding my poem, and my right leg was just going, right? So then the right leg shake, crawled up my right leg and went to my right arm, and I was holding the poem. So I'm like trying to, read the poem, and everything, the paper's shaking, and I'm like, oh my God, are they noticing the paper is shaking, and my right leg is shaking, and da-da-da-da-da. I was just a mess, but I loved it, and I just kept doing it. I came back for more. I didn't stop after that, even though I was a mess. Absolutely.
Well, I always had the inclination to be able to write, but what happened was I was going through many difficulties in my life, and I was in White Deer, Pennsylvania, going through some changes, and I guess what was happening to me, I was up there trying to shed a part of my life that no longer needed to be a part of me. And after that, I had regurgitated all of this pain and this trauma. All of a sudden, this newfound, I just couldn't stop writing. And whatever had a hold on me then kind of went away with the grace of God. And I was able to be able to write. And I wrote on many things, on romance, social issues, social ills, and I kept perfecting it. What really was inside me, I needed to talk about me. I really needed to tell the journey that I went through to be able to be who I am today.
Well, I think art is effervescent. It's transcendent. It's a non-stop locomotive train. Because my favorite artists have come from YouTube and also from coffee shops and also from little huts in nowhere places in nowhere United States that I've met people that just have the best views and the best artistic abilities, and it transcends just poetry. At least for me, I'm a poet, but I'm also a photographer, and I've met artists that are poets, photographers, artists, painters, and sculpturalists, and I feel like we all love this thing, art, and it's different for all of us, but it's like a big bubble of good energy, and it's somewhere you can put your feelings, somewhere that most other places you can't.
My art really is about going to the places that you don't want to go, and pulling on those experiences to create a picture that people can identify with and respect. And that's different. Not everybody has the same background. My background, really, I've come from a lot of hurt and pain. Everybody has their own, pain and tragedy and different things that's happened to them. it's how you use it. You know, so I
Right.
decided to use, you know, a lot of the things that happened to me to reflect the most honest, you know, interpretation of art possible, as far as my words, as far as the stories I tell.
I think about music a lot when I think about art, and I think about visual art, because to me, we're all vibratory forces, right? We're all vibrations.
Energetic, right?
We're all
Yes,
energy.
That's right.
And energy is important. So to me, because it's everything. So to me, just like music, right? There's certain chords, there's certain sounds, chords and notes and stuff that come together, right, to create a beautiful harmony. So the musician is the composer, composing these notes and chords that make something that sounds really pleasing to the people that are listening, right? They're either, and they're always evoking some type of emotion. You're either going to be relaxed, you're going to be pumped up, you're going to be happy, you're going to be sad, because if it's a love song, whatever it is, right? It's evoking emotion from you. And those chords and notes come together for that beautiful harmony, that symphony, right, of beauty. It's the same thing with anything else that you put together. With art, those colors, those textures, those lines, your love, all of that goes into it and is the recipe for how it is imparted to others. And
just think about it, and like on face value, that's the same cliche, but in regards to truth, in regards to revealing a reality that would be unknown otherwise, but I'm thinking more so in the context. Hope I'm not getting too philosophical with it.
No,
but,
throw it at him. Whatever you got.
German, one of my favorite Western philosophers, German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who in his famous writings, The World as Will and Representation, he spoke upon the last part as art. If there's any beauty in life or any truth that can be revealed, it would have to be through art. What makes it so special with him, though, is he was the father, considered the father of nihilism. He influenced Nietzsche, very pessimistic, and also the first Western philosopher, major Western philosopher to merge Eastern philosophy, particularly Buddhism. But Herbert Marcuse, 20th century French philosopher, the aesthetic dimension, just in regards to true art revealing that which would be unknown otherwise. But like I said, on face value, it sounds real simple. But when you think about it, I mean, to do that for any so-called artist, because I know when I hear that term, I get a little jaded, a little bitter, because people have a very romantic, sophomoric, superficial approach towards art, not knowing that, I think Baldwin has said this one time, if you to find out that you're a writer or an artist of any kind, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
Wow, I didn't hear that one.
You know, it's not a good thing, and I'm paraphrasing. It's really not. It's because you can't reveal to others what you haven't revealed or seen or found within yourself.
As for writing, it allows me to bring my emotions and everything that I'm going through and coping with out into the forefront. And basically, it's like a cleansing. I could pour all of my confusions and emotions out onto a piece of paper, read it back, analyze it, and it is painful. It's painful to relive some things that I have experienced, but every time I do it, it helps me to heal even more. It allows me to confront my fears and move past them.
Little blues?
Yeah, little blues. Go.
Artistry to me is just another tool to reach people. Pretty much, whether it's singing, whether it's on a keyboard or instrument, whether it's spoken word, artistry to me is mainly a tool to reach people.
So I think art, about art, but artists, whether it be a musician or a sculptor or a painter or poet, you know, art. An artist is already
All of them.
It's already a big, all-encompassing word, but I think you should challenge things, even challenge why you even think things, or
Right.
why
I agree.
You know, or even specifically challenge. I like challenging other artists. You know, I'm not fighting them.
No.
But like, you know, they want to advocate certain things, and I'm like, why? You know, and I think now, and I think it's great, but now everything's kind of going into the whole politically correct thing, and which is great. I think people should be more sensitive about how other people may react to what they're saying. But at the same time, at the point where I can't say anything, then
it's no longer art.
Then I mean, I had discussions with a bunch of people, friends, also very smart individuals, and I would say one thing, and they're like, "That's not very sensitive of you to say," and I'm like, "How else am I gonna say it?" Like, you know, so it's a very like I rather, if I could pick one or the other, I'd rather people being sensitive than not. But at the same time, I think anytime there is like this established, you have to do this or that, I'm like, I don't know about that. You know, even if it's even if it's a good thing, I'm like, I don't think you should really impose anything on people.
Just tell us a little bit about this idea that you're an artist. You're an artist, and how you love to create through your design.
I'm an artist. I consider myself, I'm a designer, I guess, to the world, but in my mind, I'm an artist.
I love it. I love that. To the world, but you're truly an artist.
Yeah, you know, I'm truly an artist. You know, this is an art form. It's a way of expressing myself, but I do it through clothing instead of through a medium of paint. So I do it through clothing. A lot of my fabrics and stuff that I deal with is printed. So print has movement. So therefore, I'm an artist because I'm creating a canvas on the body. So,
It's so much beauty in having a dynamic self. And
I like that. Dynamic self.
yeah, a dynamic self that actually works for the world. Your gifts are received well, and you know, you live in a world where people, that's what they do. They either exploit their gifts or they use their gifts, and you know, you see them prosper from it. But when it comes to artists, you know, if we were a food chain, it's like we'll be at the bottom, you know, scraping up the crumbs, and it's not because, but our talent and our light is so high.
The best thing for any artist is just to remain true to what they do. Make sure that relationship that they have with their art remains holy, remains sacred, and you kind of just let everything else happen from there.
Ownership and equity are the top priority. Being the artist is not a clearly defined thing. But without equity, without ownership, you become the talent.
Wow.
Someone else is the owner. Someone else says yes or no, and they say when, and they say where, and they say how, and you're the talent to fill the gaps in the when, where, how, what, why. So, in order for us to not have anything stripped away from us, or not have the narrative told by someone outside of the community, or someone who doesn't have the best interests of the community,
Being devalued.
right? We have to own it. We have to own our brands, our personal brands, our business brands. We have to own whatever platforms that we speak on. If we produce something, it can't be a production that is only yours because Facebook said it was yours.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a man of collaboration. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do as artists is and that's one of the things that I feel like I have a talent for is actually recognizing the real. You know, they say real recognizes real, and when I see that, I'm always anxious to work with somebody. You know, a lot of times, especially at this stage, for independent artists, it's a lot of times like crabs in the barrel. You know,
Right.
people feel like, you know, I gotta push myself. You know, you not
push
on
you
my
back.
level. Exactly,
Right.
exactly. You know, because it's like it's especially in hip hop, it's embedded in the culture, the competition. You know, it's for me, it's not always about that. You know, teamwork make the dream work.
I'm just saying, like, we artists, like, we all out here, we artists. An artist is somebody, in my vision, in my mind, an artist is somebody who could create. So, I mean, I'm out here creating. I'm out here planting, creating life. I'm out here helping other people create in positive ways. So, just showing people how to do things. And this is just one of the aspects I do. I focus on education, agriculture, economics. But as an artist, it's a beautiful thing you can create, you know, just work with other people who do similar things.
Stay in your lane. You know, and by that, what I mean is, if you're an artist and your job is to perform, is to hopefully sell, feature, get booked, whatever it is you're trying to do that as an artist. You know, I think a lot of times we worry too much about what the next artist is doing or how humble or not humble the next artist is. And it's like, as long as we're worried about each other, the masses, the populace, they're not worried about us because we're not worried about them. We're worried about each other. We're worried about ourselves. So it's like, the only thing I would say is be an artist in every way. Get on the radio, get on stage, talk to people, get a fan base. You know, this is what I'm saying. We can't be the only ones that know we exist.
I think in reference to the community, I think one of the biggest issues is how much we want to divide ourselves, right? So you've got...
Should I give you the whole camera for this part?
What? No.
I'm
just saying, like, I feel like we find every way, shape, and form to separate and divide ourselves. So, you know, you can be a part of a Pan-African organization, but then they're going to look funny at the homosexual community, who's then going to look funny at the non-Pan-African, maybe the hip-hop culture. It's like, as compared to realizing we're all brown-skinned people. You know, an injustice to one of us is an injustice everywhere. Not, well, let's get black rights going, but who cares about gay rights? Or let's get black American rights going, but who cares about Africans? Or who cares about the Indians? Or who cares about the Asian community? No, if anybody's having an injustice, it's going to affect all of us. It can't be like justice for some. It needs to be justice for all. And it starts with building and realizing we're all one. But especially within the black community, because I really feel like in a lot of the other communities, it's not such a big divide in the sense of like, oh, well, you know, we're like we're light-skinned Asians. We don't fuck with the darker-skinned Asians. Like, no, it's what? Oh, you're too tan, so let's have this beef. Let's get dark-skinned beef. Let's all of that. When in actuality, they're killing all of us regardless of our complexions. They could care less whether you are almost as white as them, but they know you're black, or darker than, you know, a black bag.
I think society as a whole, you know, it's
I
not
agree.
just the church. Society as a whole doesn't, you know, revere the artists as, you know, they don't.
I say it almost every interview.
Yeah, like for me, I feel like poets, you know, are scribes. We are the ones who are meant to write.
You have me worshiping over this joint. I ain't worship on the series yet.
You know, I think poets are scribes, and we're meant to write, you know, our history in a poetic.
Oh, it's going up, y'all.
fashion.
Can you see us?
And you know, musicians, they have a factor. They, you know, have an influence too. And artists in general, we are the ones who paint the future and paint our stories. You know, whether it be through the spoken word, whether it be through C notes, whether it is through, you know, the painting on the canvas, or, you know, the step in our feet. We are the ones who create our present and our future. And I don't think as artists we are revered as such.
Yo, get that.
Huh. Our mind state, our energy, our activity creates the society, you know. And until we realize that, then things will be better.
To study the art history and study and figure out what's your vision to the world. You know, because you want to be a successful artist. You know, you're trying to be a part of history. You're trying to make history. You want to be a part of that timeline. So what are you doing different? You know what I mean? Everybody can sing and dance. You know, talent is a dime a dozen, my man once taught me. You know what I mean? It's about what you do with it. You know what I mean? It's like what you do with it, man.
I'm just about, like you said, it's about just changing the community with our voices, you know, and our thoughts.
I like
our
that.
words have power, you know.
I like that.
And I'm talk about to a point. Sometimes you go to an open mic, right? And somebody might be there. This is always one of my things. Somebody might be there in the audience and was thinking about, had suicidal thoughts, like, you know, that night or that day. Just decided to just ended up in an open mic and just hear a word from anybody that's on the stage. It might have even been a song. And once they heard that word, now they want to stay alive.
They got free.
Life.
They got free.
You know what I'm saying? So that's an example of just how words is powerful in expressing and sharing your thoughts and your experiences to, you know, people that really don't know who you are. You know, and I just utilize the gifts that my ancestors gave me.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
They speak through me. I'm just the instrument. And you know, I bring the message and try to make, you know, knowledge is power.
Even the greats, you know, they practice their craft. You
They
know,
get
there's
better.
always room to improve. You know
There's
what I mean?
always-
So you don't ever put down anybody because you don't know their potential. You know, some people got a learning curve that's steep as hell. They might be whack as hell one Wednesday, and then they come back the next year and they better than you.
Saying that we need a voice. We need a larger voice and a more of a community voice that's speaking the same thing. A lot of people have great things to say, but if you're talking about 5 different things at one time, then the world's not going to listen because there's 5 different conversations going on. And so I think that the community needs to come together and create one voice. And it's hard because the community needs so much. It's like, where do you start? What issue do you address first? But I think that's where our downfall is, that we haven't come together yet to create that one voice where we can say, hey, this is our issue, this is our topic, and this is our game plan to attack it, address it, and resolve it. So I think that's where the issue is. Everyone is being a little bit cliquish in our community, which is great because you have your own thing going on. But where's the glue that brings all that together? Where's the the adhesive to say we are together, we are a community? Even though you might have your poets, your visual artists, your musicians, your dancers, yeah, that's great. But together is where the community is. It's not just the poets or the writers or the visuals or the painters. It's everyone that's together that's going to make a difference. So I think somehow there needs to be some kind of glue that brings all that together, and so that way we can stick together and know that know that, hey, we have a force behind what I'm doing. If I'm an artist, I know that I have a force behind me that doesn't have to necessarily be a visual artist force. It can be the whole entire arts force. So I think that's what we're missing. I think we're missing a unified voice, whatever that could be.
For the newer community, I think needs a lot of growth, development, and like things like mentoring are very good.
Tell them, talk to them, and tell them.
Application of issues, of problems, you know, because it's not everybody. I think that everybody wants, deep at heart, like we want to be at our best. Like we want to be good. We don't want to be, you know, in the cracks. You know, like struggling, you know, like being a drug addict or any of these cliches that you might think of, like stealing, robbing, you know, like using guns to like scare people into, you know, submitting to your monetary desires or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to, you know.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, even like for drug addiction, you know, like you could turn it around and be, you know, become a workaholic. If you're, you know, inclined to doing you know, if you have an addictive personality, like I think a lot about like cognitive research, like neuroscience, like all of that. And drug addicts are known to be like really great CEOs because what that is, that like go, that mentality or that sensitivity, that like heightened reactivity to something which would make them addicted to it, actually could be turned around and used as a positive thing, you know? I mean, like, isn't it positive to be working and working towards like what you love instead of, you know, like low, you know, having low energy, being like addicted to something and not producing anything worthwhile? Nobody wants that. Like nobody.
That you have to be clear about. It's a clarity thing for me, right? You have to be clear about what you want, and then you define boundaries around that definition. You know, so for me, it was like, let's see if other people actually want to move to this neighborhood and try to have a physical presence that could be protected. You know, I think political will is already there with artists.
Right, I agree with you.
Because the artists, number one, I think almost it's like Baraka, right? Art is political, so you can express those
ideas,
yeah,
viewpoints. Yeah, sure,
right.
sure,
Thanks. But then, but it's the money, right? It's just
Right.
like the starving artist.
Simply, to keep it very simple, I would say eliminate competition. Like, get that idea of competition out of your mind, because it might be somebody. Say if you paint, and it might be somebody else that paints, right? And you look at him as competition, so you avoid that guy, or you're basically basing your work off of his work or off of her work, which is weird. It's kind of like if you guys work together and you don't know, he might have had the piece of the puzzle and you might have the other piece of the puzzle that completes the puzzle. And you get being so gun-ho on competition, it's almost to the point that you hate this person, or it's almost to the point that this person shifts your energy when they're in the room, or whatever the situation is, or whenever they release something new, you have to be a critic and comment on it, or I don't like this, I don't like the way he paints, whatever. Just kind of eliminate competition
instead of an ally.
Instead of accepting it. Healthy competition, yes, that's if you're running with your peers, but the type of competition I see artists nowadays doing, it's not running with your peers. It's like, yo, this is competition. And then I see everybody doing it, and it's not like you're getting more money than this person, or you're getting that much more of a look than the other person. You're actually holding yourself back when you're basing what you do off of somebody else or another group.
Powerful concept.
Another thing I would say, other than competition, is ego. Ego is like, even dealing with certain artists, you see them receive an accolade, or you see them, I got into an art gallery, or I did this, and it's kind of like, now it's over. Nobody can speak to me. In order to book me, you got to pay me $500, and it's kind of like they stop working with the concept. Like, they're just working aimlessly to fulfill this. I turned into this brand. Now you got to work with me. I can't work with you. I got an ego now. You know what I'm saying?
Stop treating each other like mathematics. And I use that as a metaphor. Mathematics means, in the way that I'm describing it to you, it's more so a metaphor. So what I mean by that is, we have these little groups or colonies or whatever you want, cliques or whatever, and when we're down with somebody or we like somebody or whatever, we'll multiply them to our clique. But the ones we don't care about, or the ones we don't know or misunderstood for one reason or another, we divide them out of the circle, as if they can't be a part, as if they have no sense of belonging here, so they don't feel wanted, and you know what I mean? They're treated like a social outcast. We should be coming together as in unison, and there should be the treatment of treating each other like mathematics.
Well, one thing that I find particularly interesting is the fact that we have one type of art, right, in Newark. Nobody is trying to diversify and do anything other than that one type of art. Because if you try to do anything other than that one type of art, nobody's coming out. Nobody's supporting.
Right. We should have multimedia.
Right. Where are my theater people, my film people, my interpretive dance people? Sure, we do have artists who are in the community who do different types of interpretive dance. But where's their platform to showcase their work? Where's their platform for me to go out and see them do an exhibition of their particular art form? Where are the theater showcases? Where are the staged readings? The short one, the one-act play labs? Where are the film festivals? Where are they? Not the Black Film Festival that happens at the Newark Museum.
I understand.
It's very it's prominent and it's good.
We're talking about local people.
Right. Where are the local talented people? People talk about, I can do this and I can do that and I have this and I have that, but I don't see them. And there's no platform, there's no way for anyone to actually see them. And that's the issue. We talk about support in the artist community. But if you are talking about supporting local and underground talent, and you really want to support local and underground talent, then that means you need to have them involved in your show until they are no longer local or underground. Because if you're for the underdog, you're for the underdog.
Period.
You can't tell me you're campaigning for the homeless because you gave one guy a sandwich. Okay? Like, you can't tell me you're donating to charity because you gave to the Red Cross on Christmas. So it was me trying to figure out, like, you know, my place or my purpose. And there was, you know, I just laid on the table. There was suicidal thoughts, you know, there was, you know, why am I here? And poetry came to me at a time where I probably was literally on the edge. And I found, well, I always wrote thoughts, but I never really considered it poetry. To me, it was like kind of like writing a journal, you know. And it wasn't until a friend of mine got a hold of one of my works somehow and was like, "Yo, this is poetry, man. Like, you need to be performing this, man." You know. And it, from that point on, I started getting a glimpse of what it meant to be a poet.
That's the other thing too, that as an artist, you gotta stay on it, bro. You gotta be like, you know, you gotta be a year in advance. You know what I'm saying? Because there's stuff going on, you have to be already applying for it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be on it. You gotta follow up, and you know, stick to your calendar, man. And you just really have to be on it. You know what I mean? Like even curating that graffiti show is really hard because you know we were dealing with graffiti artists, so we were already outside the mainstream, already outside of the structure. You know, they're not used to us having, you know, like me, you know, through practice, you know, I got all that stuff already lined up, like my resume, my artist statement, my bio, you know, my pictures, blah, 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 blah. When these guys, I had to explain one kid what a bio is and an art statement.
That's what, tell them what you just told me about that in the head.
No, because recently I was dealing with a lot of being stuck inside of my own head, and that keeps you stagnant. When you live inside of your head and you have to constantly be in action and you have to constantly fight to not get stuck in your head because there's nothing happening up there. And oftentimes we are afraid of what people may perceive, or are we looking good or are we looking bad, and you just got to really step away from all of that to do the work. Because it's like when you're doing the work, it's not about looking good or looking bad. It's about being authentic and really bringing it and being a vessel. Because when you have a true intention and you have a true takeaway and you really stand for something, it ain't about looking good or looking bad. And it's not about being in your head. It's about really doing it and really having those conversations and being connected and trusting yourself to know that the outcome will be exactly what you said it would be. Because
take a time and take a step back and just appreciate nature. You know, and just, if you appreciate nature and respect nature and take a step back and breathe, do yoga, do some physical activity, get the mind right, and start eating right, and you'll begin to see your whole lifestyle begin to change. And it will help your business mindset, and it will help your arts and crafts.
And it will help you love, because you get to appreciate other human beings.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes go hug a tree. People think that's crazy, but you hug a tree.
I took some pictures hugging a tree.
Me too. I did it in Brooklyn. They thought I was crazy. They was like, what is he doing?
I heard James Small say that the Indians used to call the trees and the flowers my mother and my father, because they understood the cycle. And we don't really understand the cycle, that we're really connected to everything. So we shouldn't be destroying anything. We should be creating and building in that constant, like, recycle mode.
Eco art again is a big one. Clean renewable energy, how to create electricity from natural elements and store that electricity. And then nutrition, wellness and nutrition education, where I partner up with, in particularly a young lady that I'm really good friends with. Her name is Charlene Mesa. I've helped her establish her nonprofit called Elegant Bouquet Kitchen, where together we've developed programs around food science, where we teach people how to make nutritious meals, how to read labels, and she even took it a step further. She has a social etiquette program where she teaches table setting, how to dress for that occasion, things of that nature. So it's really important. So a lot of my work that I do is very in collaboration with other like-minded, serious like-minded.
Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Newark, New Jersey, and have been through growing up here and knowing what it is to be mentored on both sides of life, good and bad. Knowing that some of the choices I may have made earlier on
Young people don't have to make those choices. And instead of me talking about it, I want to be able to physically show them action and results. Results most of the time come in the form of them getting a check or getting paid for what they're doing.
You can say that again. We love check.
Yeah, getting a check, getting paid, generate monetizing what you do. People don't realize that because you're in this industry, or because you're an entrepreneur, or because you do social projects, doesn't mean that you don't have bills just like everybody else. Doesn't mean that you don't have to, just take care of business. The same way you may be the most creative person in the world. You gotta eat.